Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2CTV, your global news channel. We come to you guys with some breaking news coming from Germany and the second largest city in the country, Hamburg, as we've just heard that there has been a mass stabbing attack at the Hamburg central station with a number of people, several people who have been injured, and half of them, unfortunately, severely injured and in critical conditions. We're going to give you guys all the information that we have so far. This is still a live ongoing development. We're going to get more information throughout the show. Get your reaction in the comment section, in the live chat as well. There's a couple of videos we're going to show you from the scene of the attack and the suspect as well. Obviously, if you're watching this live, let me know your thoughts in the live chat. First things first, let's talk about what's actually been going on in Hamburg. This is the first image we can show you. This is a mass stabbing at the central station. This actually happened inside the station itself. And we can confirm that so far, they've said that at least 12 people have been injured. Now, the public transport hubs and the whole network has now been disrupted completely in the central parts of the city, as the authorities have now taken full control by closing down and cordoning off the main streets. They are quite confident that there are no more suspects running around. So that's good, but they are still doing their investigation. They're still searching the area for more evidence. In terms of the 12 people who have been injured, we can now confirm, this is the next image we have for you guys, that 3 of the victims are unfortunately in critical condition. 3 more on top of that are seriously wounded, and the other 6 fortunately have sustained, well, less severe injuries. We don't actually know the level of injuries in terms of where they've been stabbed. But the one thing we can tell, that the other 6 so far, they don't have any life-threatening conditions. But of course, the first 3 unfortunately do. I'm just waiting to verify some more information for you guys. This is going to be all over the place. Obviously, a lot of the information is coming in at once. We have to make sure we don't actually accidentally spread fake news. Before we do that, obviously, as you guys know, the 2CTV app has now been launched. If you download the app for free, you get access to the news posts. We have the actual news posts and everything else you get notifications when we release the news, and it's a one-stop shop. You can watch the live shows and everything from there as well going forward. This is the next image. We can now confirm that the emergency response has now escalated the parameters. So essentially, they have triggered a large-scale response, which means that the fire brigade, the paramedics and the police are all working together in the closed areas. Now, the federal police have quickly swarmed the station. They have locked down the parts of the area that have been affected, and have urged the general public in the city to stay clear from the central part of Hamburg for their own safety. And of course, as the investigation continues, I don't want any disruption in the middle of all this. That is the thing. So we can now tell you some information about the suspect, actually. There is some surprising elements coming when it comes to the suspect. They are saying that it is a woman who has now been arrested at the Hamburg Central Station in connection with a stabbing incident that injured 12 people, 6 of them obviously serious injuries. So what we can tell is that this is just one person who's been arrested so far in connection to it. Now, we don't know exactly whether she did all the stabbings herself, or whether she's connected to somebody else that was there and is probably not there anymore. But so far, we are going with the fact that she's the suspect who's been arrested in connection to the stabbings. Let's go to the video.
Alhamdulillah.
As you can see in that short clip, it's a very multi ethnic and multicultural city, an area. So you had the guy behind saying something in Arabic, Alhamdulillah, whatever. Now, we have a quick statement from the police, actually, that we can actually bring you guys. That's the platform where the attack happened. A major police operation is currently underway at the Hamburg's central station. We are investigating the incident and will provide further information shortly. Now, we are imminently waiting for the obviously a short press conference as well from the police, but we do have I believe we have some statement from the fire brigade as well in terms of what they've actually been focusing on. Yes, this is a short clip that we can actually go to now, and then we have some more information. We have a couple of the videos from the scene of the attack. This video is got English subtitles.
Ja, die Feuerwehr Hamburg hier zurzeit im Großeinsatz. Hier gab es nach einer Messerstecherei mehrere Verletzte, mehrere schwerverletzte, lebensbedrohlich verletzte Personen. Die Feuerwehr ist hier zurzeit noch im Großeinsatz und führt hier eine rettungsdienstliche Versorgung durch, so dass wir dann hoffen, alle Patienten in umliegende Krankenhäuser in Kürze verbringen zu können. Also wir haben insgesamt zum jetzigen Zeitpunkt 12 Verletzte. 3 lebensbedrohlich Verletzte, 3 Schwerverletzte und 6 leicht verletzte Personen gesichtet. Weiterhin läuft die Sichtung hier durch die Feuerwehreinsatzkräfte und die ersten Personen sind zurzeit schon auf dem Weg in umliegende Krankenhäuser. Ja, also vermutlich gab es ein Gewaltdelikt auf dem Bahngleis und hier hat man dann nach der Sicherung der Einsatzstelle durch die Polizeieinsatzkräfte dann auch zügig mit der rettungsdienstlichen Versorgung beginnen können. Das ist zurzeit noch ein Großeinsatz für die Feuerwehr, für den Rettungsdienst hier vor Ort. Die Personen werden hier gesichtet, rettungsdienstlich, und werden dann in verschiedene Sichtungskategorien eingeteilt. Aber natürlich haben wir auch hier betroffene Personen, die unter dem Eindruck des Geschehens stehen.
Now, the local press obviously are saying, because of the description of the person with the long hair, they went with woman. Although it is Germany, so these days you do have to say, you can't really assume someone's gender. It could be anybody really with the long hair. But for now, we go with the woman. And now, this is next. We got some latest footage as well. This is obviously of the aftermath, after the actual attack itself, when the emergency services took control of the area and they obviously urged the crowd and the public to leave. Let's quickly go to that short clip and come back. Now, let's quickly get some reaction while we're here, and then we are waiting for more statements from the authorities to find out more about the motive and the identity, ideally a name. I think we can actually, let's just double check. Yes, we can now confirm that the authorities are saying that the only thing we can say right now about the suspect is that she is a 39-year-old woman. So we only have the age so far. Now we'll wait for the full statement to find out why she decided to do this, whether there was a political motive behind it. Obviously, as we said, it's a very multi-ethnic, multicultural area in central Hamburg. All right, let's get some reaction from you guys. The Viking is in the chat. Thank you for your super chat, saying, has this been classed as a terrorist attack? The full statement from the authorities has not been confirmed yet, but it's highly likely that there will be a terrorist attack because the number of casualties that you've seen, the number of people who've been injured so far, it's difficult to see that as an accidental stabbings, right? It's also difficult to see how every single person were related to each other. So if it was some sort of personal attack, and it happens all the time, then obviously that wouldn't be a terrorist attack. But if they are all random people in the public, then obviously there will be a motive. unless the media will just go with the usual mental illness narrative that as they usually do. The officers are now saying that they do believe that the woman acted alone. So that kind of covers up what we said earlier in regards to when they first said this is the first was a suspect arrested in connection to it. A lot of people were speculating, saying how can one woman manage to successfully stab 12 people? Some people assume that she might have been with somebody else, but actually, according to the police in Hamburg, that she was on her own. She did everything on her own. This was on the platform that had both, the tracks between platform 13 and 14 inside the Hamburg's central station. We are just double checking to find out whether, the trains are still, the 4 tracks at the station are now still closed and for the rest of the evening. I don't think they're going to be open anytime soon because this investigation is going to take some time, considering the attack happened on the platform. So that is one of the big issues that the authorities and the station have to deal with. Let's find out. Yeah, okay, yes, we'll double check. So they still haven't called it a terrorist attack. I don't know what else it could be, but you know. Rogue Trooper, thank you for your super chat, saying, was it a woman or a weirdo that identifies as one? The difference is huge. Yeah, I know. That's what I said earlier. But I believe that the authorities in Hamburg are going with biological sex. And yeah, she did have long hair and clearly was a woman. So I think they're focusing on biological sex rather than how the suspect identifies. Coffee House Dialogue, thank you for your super chat, saying, accept Islam or more chaos happens. Well, in this case, it's highly unlikely that that woman was Islamic. I mean, you never know these days, but it's highly unlikely that she was Islamic. Counter offer, jihadis. Cox, what? Gone, get the heck out of here. No Islam, no peace. Domo says the UK will be the first Islamic country of Europe. Probably not. There will be a couple of others that could be, like France. But yeah, I mean, it's unrelated to this one, to what's happening today in Hamburg. Eva Angel says, if it is a white woman, we will never hear the end of it, unlike if it was someone else. Yeah, I mean, the media are already on top of this. It's quite interesting how the coverage, I just double checked now, major media outlets, unlike previous attacks that happen, and even sometimes actual terror attacks, when they immediately say it's a terror attack, sometimes the media tend not to focus on it. But right now, the global media, including BBC News and BBC World Service, they're all focusing on it very, very detailed. So yeah, it's going to help their narrative in terms of the woman. Christina says, what the actual F? Is this going to keep happening until we are no more? No way it was one woman doing all of that. Well, the authorities say she was alone. The thing is that you're dealing with a situation where urban cities in Europe, in major cities across all the countries, we're primarily talking about Western Europe and parts of northern parts, we have had political chaos for the past 3 decades. Political decisions that has led to urban areas, just in general, being unsafe and being dangerous. Whether you're talking about your casual knife crime, whether you're talking about gun crime, whether you're talking about muggings, burglary, the cultural wars, whether you're talking about terrorism, all this is because they don't know how to manage our cities in the continent of Europe. Every major city in the western parts of Europe is experiencing the same thing. I'm going to give you some facts about what's actually been going on in Hamburg, for example. I think it's important for people to know that the level of crime, the level of chaos that you're dealing with. First things first, 2022, go over the last 2-3 years, if best to focus on that. Crime went up massively in Hamburg, with 211,239 offenses recorded. Now, these are not necessarily the hate crimes, hate speeches. These are actual crimes. In 2023, a sharp increase of nearly 11%. A year later, 11% increase. The number went up to 234,241 crimes. Hotspots included St. Pauli and St. George. Now, 2024, the numbers were similar. It did actually go down by 2%. So that's quite impressive, right? During the first 9 months, then there was a massive 11% again increase. Let's talk about the violent crime. In 2023, violent crime increased by 12.9%. Sexual offenses went up by 24.4% in Hamburg. Domestic abuse also went up. In March 2023, a mass shooting happened at the Jehovah's Witnesses Hall, resulted in 6 deaths and 8 injuries. In May 2025, which is now, we are dealing with the same thing in terms of the mass attacks. But this one is not a shooting, it's a stabbing. When you talk about the issues in the hotspots of Hamburg, decades and years of negligence from the political establishment and political leadership. Let's talk about what's actually been going on when it comes to serious crimes. So number one, 20% rise in serious crimes in the hotspots, in the central part. That includes robbery and drug-related offenses. Now, put aside Islamist terrorism and put aside multicultural battles that happens on a regular basis. Now, they have said that the police in Hamburg said earlier this year that they boosted, or they are boosting, the police presence and patrolling in the central parts, especially St. Pauli. But it hasn't actually resulted in the crimes going down, or attacks going down, or sexual offenses going down, any of them. There has been following an increase of 22% in firearm offenses. This is a country that, you're not supposed to have a gun, by the way. 22% increase in firearms. Hamburg has massively strict weapons laws as well, including obviously bans at public events and things like this. But it hasn't really stopped anything. These guys don't know how to manage the big cities in the continent of Europe. This is the level of chaos that you're going to get on a regular basis, and you're still getting it on a regular basis. Now, Ivan, thank you for your super chat, saying a woman scorned, they are dangerous, or women. Yeah, women could be. Moses says, you could hear the Islamic guy saying Alhamdulillah, yes, praising Allah. Praising the attack. That tells you a lot about what they think of the people there. Well, to be fair, he could have just said praise Allah for the arrest of the person, by the way, because the police arrested the suspect, taken away. So an Islamic person could say Alhamdulillah for that. But the fact that people just don't speak German in Germany is fascinating. You get what you voted for. Germans just had a chance to make a change and voted far left. Well, in defense of Germans, they did not vote far left. Germany did not. Look at the result of the election. You'll see that the far left did not do that well. CDU did, but obviously as a statist establishment party, but definitely not far left. The problem is that most of the Europeans end up voting for statist establishment uniparties. That is a problem, rather than voting far left. Stu says, every attack put down to mental illness. Yeah, they're probably going to go with that, right? But nothing is being done to mass screen immigrants or locals for mental illness. I wonder why. Yeah, considering that they say there is a massive crisis of mental illness, you would think there should be some sort of program, right? To screen people and help them, as you say, right? But because it helps the narrative, just use mental illness as an excuse all the time. Although this time they're probably going to focus on other things. Enoch from Israel says, Andrew Breitbart said that politics is a downstream of culture. Manipulate the culture and you control the politics. This is not accidental, and here we are. Absolutely. Andrew Breitbart, as usual, was right. And if he were still alive, he would have a lot to say about the situations that we're dealing with, especially in Western Europe, where you have actions and counteractions. So you have one side doing something, then obviously there's always going to be a counter reaction to it, and then in the middle of this you're going to have actual chaos. So do you remember last summer in England, where you had the Southport massacre, the terror attack on the young girls. Then you had the protests. Then you had some people rioting. Then the police were pushing back, so some people started attacking the police. Both sides provoking each other. And in the middle of all that, so you had the actual, this side and then that side, you had a bunch of idiots looting shops because they always want to take advantage of crisis. So this is what happened in England during those days, is basically the same things happening on a more long term in big cities, in Western Europe, every day. For the past few years, it's the same thing. Because people know there is no respect for the rule of law. There's no respect for authorities. The authorities themselves seem to be all over the place. And now you see crime going up, attacks going up, then counterattacks going up. Everything is falling apart. God's best friend says, let me guess, Jewish settlers? No, not in this case. Imagine. Jeff says, Islamic terrorists are a threat to civilization. Yes, but yeah, of course, it's highly unlikely that this blonde woman was Islamic. You know, you could have converts, but probably not. Nicholas says, the German government are negligent and not looking after their sovereign people. These criminals are coming to the UK on a boat. Well, the blonde women. Oh, these blonde women. Martin says, I am very sorry to hear this from the Netherlands. Thank you very much, Martin, watching from the Netherlands. Got something in my throat now. Did Rob say free PlayStation? That's a good idea. Let's just double check. Cameron says, do you have my super chat, TC? Let me double check. Did I miss yours? Apologies. No, it didn't come through. Cameron, unfortunately, hasn't come through. I thought I missed it for a second. All right, let's just double check to see if we have the latest statement from the authorities. Okay, so forget about everything we said. Apparently, the authorities are now identifying the suspect as a man. So, as I said earlier, could be the long hair thing. So now they're saying it's a man with a long hair. So this is the thing about live breaking news. Now they're saying it's a man. How long will it take for them to say, actually, it's not a man? We just realized it's a woman again. Let's find out the official confirmation, because this keeps changing now. The first reaction from the police was that it was a woman. Now they're saying it's a man with long hair. How hard is it in the moment of the arrest, right? In the moment of the arrest, you get someone. I don't care if they have long hair or short hair. You look at them quickly. You check a couple of things. Just literally just look at the face. And then you could decide whether that person is a man or a woman. Also, you're usually going to ask their name, right? Or get their ID. Where did the person not have an ID? Why were they so sure, the beginning, so confident to say a woman, and now the authorities are telling the press that it's a man? Are they going to change their mind and say it's a woman again, half an hour from now? I love how there's an emergency situation in the middle of Hamburg. There are people who are injured. And the biggest mystery right now is the gender of the suspect. Absolutely embarrassing. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to find out. I don't know if she's going to be claiming to be a man. I don't know if she's self-identifying or whatever's going on. We'll find out more information on this. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'll continue to be your go-to source for geopolitical news from all around the world. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.